Today we're going to be talking about anxious moments and how to deal with stress and anxious days, as to how to switch our days around to feeling maybe slightly less anxious or maybe fully going back to baseline and feeling like ourselves again. And today I just felt like I just wanted to just chit chat with you guys, fully flow, not have too much of a organization and an agenda here, just really talking from heart to heart, hopefully. So if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Orlane. I'm a medical student in the UK, currently doing a master's in tissue engineering, and I run this podcast, this channel called Differently Moi, where it's all about personal development, everything and anything that I learn or come across that I think is going to be useful for you guys to heal and grow, to lead a life that has more joy, like pure, real joy, not medicated joy, and more purpose. And yeah, that's really my goal and my dream with this thing is to help you guys do that and achieve really pure joy and more purpose in your life so that you can wake up every day and feel like you enjoy being here and not like, oh, another day, I guess I'll just do the same thing over and over again, right? Okay. Today, as I said, we're going to be talking about anxious moments. And I want to put a disclaimer here. I'm not talking about generalized anxiety disorder, chronic anxiety. That is not something that I struggle with. I'm grateful for that. But I do struggle with anxious moments, anxious days, anxious days where I can't fall asleep, where something's constantly on my mind, my heart feels heavy, I can't focus on anything, or I'm consistently trying to distract myself constantly trying to distract myself from things, numbing myself with different various things that you can do, like social media or whatever. And so I thought a few days like this happened this week, and I thought that it'd be a good idea to actually talk about this just freely and openly, and hopefully give you guys a few different tips, a few maybe different techniques that you can start to implement in your own life when you have these days where you're struggling a little bit more than usual to feel peace and to feel calm and rooted in yourself. So yeah, if this sounds like something that you'll enjoy, please stick around, please listen up, and we're going to have a great time. So let's move quickly on to this thing. So the first thing that I think that I've kind of realized when you have anxious moments is to actually the first step is to actively realize that you're anxious. I think a lot of us have a struggle to fully understand our feelings and understand what our body is trying to tell us and the cues that it's trying to tell us. So sometimes you're going to feel a little bit anxious, but you're not going to notice that it's active anxious moments or feeling stressed until maybe a lot later. And the things that I've noticed that I personally do when I'm a bit anxious or in my head or feeling like stressed is that I start barking at people. And when I say barking, it's a metaphor. I'm so on edge that if somebody says one small thing that is slightly off of, slightly on the wrong tone, slightly the wrong word that triggers me or annoys me, I'm going to immediately bite back and be immediately on the defensive, which is not my usual. It's definitely my usual when I'm stressed. And so that's something that I've noticed is okay, when I get more defensive, there's probably something there. I'm probably feeling something within me, a little bit more stressed today. And for other people, it might be that you're realizing that you're spending a lot more time on social media, but in a different way, meaning that you're just scrolling, but you don't even know what you're scrolling at. Sometimes you're having a great time on social media. I love having those moments when my reels feel like they are just perfectly curated for me. And I know it's the algorithm, I know it's all that jazz, but when it's just perfectly reel after reel where I'm just laughing so much, actively, the whole house can hear me laughing. Those are days where I just love it. I'm like, oh, I love social media. It's entertaining me so much. But there's other days where I'm really stressed. I'm just scrolling through it just because I need my mind to be focused on something else than what is happening within me, which is the stress, the anxiety, the the feeling of constriction. So I'm just trying to watch something, scroll, or I deep dive in work and I'm just have really, really long days where I'm just working, barely eating because I'm running away from something. So I think that's the first thing to do if you're having an anxious moment. And honestly, if you've clicked on this video, you probably know that you get anxious sometimes. You're like, right, can this random girl on the internet, can she help me? Can she not? So you probably already know your cues. But I think sometimes we know that we're stressed, but we kind of push it down. We pull it to the floor, we try to numb it out, and we do all of these other things. And sometimes it's when we notice that we're doing these other things that we then realize, oh yeah, I am really stressed and I probably should. Sorry, there's so many motorbikes, I don't know what they're doing. They're doing wheelies. They look a little cool, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, they're gone now. It's only when we sometimes realize that we're doing these that we're having these behaviors that we can then backtrack and be like, why am I doing this thing? That is not usually something that I do. That's not my usual. So why has my usual shifted? And then you might be like, oh, it's shifted because I'm feeling more stressed today. So that's the first thing, is to actually realize that there's something there. If we don't realize that there's something there, we can't fix it. We can't decide to then work on it or feel better or, go to the root cause if we don't even know that there's something there, right? So that's the first thing. I know it sounds maybe a bit simple, but not everybody has started doing this work before. Not everybody is into personal development. And it's really important to go back to the basic consistently, because it's when we repeat and repeat and repeat that things start being understood. And, if somebody is the first time that they fall on a personal development video or podcast, I want them to have all the information. So obviously, if you're a loyal follower, loyal listener of the Differently Moi podcast, first of all, so, thank you so much. I'm super grateful for it. And just bear with me when sometimes I repeat myself and things are a little bit similar, but it's because all of it is so important. And if I repeat something all the time, it's because I 1,000% believe in it and I'm applying it as well into my own life. But yeah, from this little weird tangent, let's move on from, we've talked about first you have to realize that you're anxious, right? And then the next thing is that before you can even, do the meditation and do whatever people tell you to feel less stressed and, download this app and do this thing and go for a run or whatever the hell it is, I personally feel like the quickest, best way to get rid of an anxious moment, an anxious day, is to get to the root cause as to why am I anxious. And sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes, I'm not going to lie, it's very difficult to find a reason. You just feel like it's a amalgamation of a lot of things. It's just like a bish bash bosh and it's just really messy. And that's fine. That's completely okay. But I personally think that spending time with yourself and being like, right, I know that I'm anxious today. I know that something feels off. And then spending time within yourself to figure out why that is. And the way that I do that is I just have, when I'm anxious, I will still wear my earphones on the bus when I'm in the lab or whatever, but there's no music. It's kind of just to force myself to be in my own bubble. And I know that that might be uncomfortable for a few people. That might be uncomfortable to just be with yourself and confront your feelings and confront what's happening within you. But I promise this is the quickest way to feeling better. It's not with more numbing substances. It's not with running away from the problem time and time again. It's actually running towards the problem a lot of the times that help us feel better. And that's why I really think that it's important, if you're anxious, to run towards, why am I anxious? Why is this feeling there? Because once you understand the why, once you understand what happened to cause you stress, you can then understand, right, this is stress. This has stressed me out. Now I know how to feel better based on the stressor that I have. Because if you're stressed because you have a lot of work versus if you're stressed because a man has not responded to you for 5 days and you think you're getting ghosted, versus if you're stressed because you're traveling in you're moving away, you're changing countries, and that's a really big move and it's stressing you out, you're going to respond to these different stresses in a completely different way and address them completely differently. So you can't do a one size fits all. I'm stressed, I'm just going to do the same routine all the time. No, it changes based on what the actual stress is. So how do you actually recognize where the stress is coming from? I think you kind of have to, as I said, just spend more time with yourself, allow yourself to listen to your thoughts. And I think a way you can do it, if you're, you just want to sit down and be like, right, this is a task that I'm going to do, figuring out what happens. You can do it maybe with journaling, and kind of in a hybrid version of journaling versus just being in your thoughts. And it's just asking yourself questions like, okay, looking back on your week and being like, right, this week has been a bit of a stressful week. Am I stressed because of work? And then you just see how your body feels. Like, is it the work? And then you might feel like your body just constricts super much. That's not English. Your body constricts a lot, and you're like, ooh, that's probably what, like, I'm stressed about the work and I'm stressed about the deadlines. But if you're like, yeah, it was a bit stressful, but it's not that, then you might move on to the next thing. Right, I've been talking to this boy for a bit and he hasn't responded. And maybe at that point you're like, yeah, like, I'm super anxious about that, and I feel like I'm getting ghosted, and I feel like he doesn't care about me anymore, whatever, I'm not good enough, whatever your internal dialogue is. Or it might not be that, maybe. So you start to try to ask yourself multiple questions and just be like, right, is it because I haven't eaten enough? I haven't eaten very well this week. Is that what's stressing me? And then you can just go and go and go. And then you're going to realize at some point you get to the root cause. The other way of doing it, which sometimes is quite good, is just having, hopefully, if you're listening to this, I hope that you have somebody of confidence that you can talk to, your mother, a really close friend, sibling that you can really talk to and kind of splurge on and vent. And sometimes venting is the best way. And when somebody asks you, hey, how are you? Actively responding to that question and being like, actually, I'm not doing so well and I don't really know why. And then you can kind of start talking it out. And sometimes if that person gives the space to listen to you, you're going to realize that the more you talk it out, the closer you get to the actual thing. Because when you vent, you kind of just start in all different areas, all different dimensions, going from everywhere and like anywhere and everywhere. And then you closely start to narrow it down to one topic. And then you start hyperfixating on it and repeating and repeating and repeating. And you sound a little bit like a broken record, but that's normal. You know, when you have a friend that's going through a breakup and then they call you and they always say the same thing, that's normal. That's them processing. And sometimes like, oh, I feel like I'm repeating myself, which they are, but it's not a bad thing. And so sometimes if you have the ability to have somebody of confidence, of that you can trust, that loves you and you love them as well, where you can actively just splurge at them and vent at them, it's quite easy actually when you speak things out, if you're also comfortable doing that, to quickly figure out, oh, actually it's this thing, because you're going to vent about a lot of things and then it's going to like curate itself and become super, super clear. Oh, actually it's this thing. And then you might just note it down on your phone or down on a piece of paper. And then once you figure out why, like where the anxiety is coming from, where the stress is coming from, then we can start to address it and figure out how to feel better. And so it's kind of like this 3-step process. The anxiety is there. I'm recognizing that I'm feeling stressed. Second thing, where is this stress coming from? Once I figure that out, now I can figure out a way to get the stress out of my body. Right? Maybe another way, because I've talked about you can do venting, you can like ask yourself a few different questions. And I think the other way is just spending some time, like closing your eyes and just, I think that might be slightly bit more advanced if you're not so into like personal development and spending time with yourself and everything. But you can just try, close your eyes, sit on the floor, sit on your bed, or like lay down on your bed before you go to bed and just allow yourself and allow your brain to go a little quiet. And just try to see and try to hear or feel, depends, everybody's different, what your body is trying to tell you. And the more you do that, the better you become at it, the better you become at understanding your body's cues, understanding how your body communicates with you. But it takes time, it takes determination. You have to do it constantly and consistently to understand how your body communicates with you. It's like almost understanding a new language between you, your mind, and your body. And once you have that language unlocked, once you've learned this new language, I can guarantee life becomes so much simpler, because you're able to have both a clear input of your brain and a clear input of your body. And when both of these align, and so when you have both of these that go together, then you can make better decisions. But we'll talk about that in another video of how to make better decisions and all that jazz. That's not the topic of today. Right. So once you've figured out where this sort of anxious moment is coming from, and by the way, if you have questions about how to do this, or you have a few different things, are like, oh, I've tried this and I've tried that, you're so welcome to leave a comment down below in the YouTube description box, in the YouTube comment section, asking me, hey, I've done this, hasn't worked. Do you have anything else that you could recommend? I'll definitely spend some time and respond to you guys. And if you want it to be a bit more private, please go to my Instagram, send me a DM. I'll do my best to help you. I guess I said I really want to help you guys. So if you've tried something and you can actively show me, yeah, like I've tried this and I've tried that and it hasn't worked, we can have a little bit of a discussion to figure out, right, maybe try this instead. Okay? So I'm opening my DMs for that. So take that opportunity if you do wish to use it, right? Okay, now that we've figured out where this anxious moment is coming from, how do we actually get rid of it? So I think I personally view anxious moments and anxiety and stress as like stagnant energy that's stuck somewhere in my body. I'm a very heart-led person, so it's always stuck in my heart. Like, when people say, oh, I have a gut feeling, I never feel anything in my gut. I have a heart feeling constantly. It's never like, oh, my gut is telling me. It's always my heart. My heart either closes up or my heart opens up and is like, yes, this is okay. So we're all different. You might be heart-led, you might be gut-led. It doesn't really matter. Again, once you get the communication going with your body, you're going to understand how your body communicates to you. And you're going to realize, I don't have gut feelings. I have heart feelings. Like, oh my God, yes, I do. I have gut feelings. Whatever. Again, I'm going on a tangent, but for me, anxious moments, anxiety is stuck energy, stagnant energy that has stuck itself in your body. And to feel better, you have to find a way to expel that energy out, right? And I'm going to say something here before I say how you can expel that energy out. The reason why it's so frigging important to understand where this anxious moment is coming from is that if you don't know where it's coming from and you immediately jump to how, like, getting it out of your body and applying all of these things I'm about to share with you, the anxious moment is going to leave, like the anxiety is going to leave, but it's going to come back immediately. Like 2 hours later, it's going to come back. And I tried this week, right? Because I was really struggling to figure out, why am I feeling anxious? Why am I feeling like just off? And so I went to the gym. I did this, I did that. I like did breathing techniques. I did self-hypnosis, whatever it is. I did so many different things to like that usually work. And like it worked for a hot second. Like I was feeling, okay, right, I'm feeling better. I feel like I can breathe fully and I feel like I'm back to being myself. But then an hour later, when I was trying to fall asleep, whatever it was, it came back because I hadn't figured out where it was coming from. And the moment that I figured out where it was coming from, dealt with it appropriately, it's gone. It's gone. It's actually left my body and it hasn't come back. And that's why it's so crucial. And at least I've personally noticed that it's so crucial to understand where the anxiety is coming from, where the stress is coming from, so that you can then allow it to leave appropriately, because you're like, right, this has come from this place. Now I can leave, I can let it go fully. And I understand why it came to me in the first place, right? So how do you actually get it out of your system? There's different ways. You can do exercise. Some people, like, it really works for them to just like exercise it out, go do some boxing, I don't know, like run outside, like do some sprints, like do jumping jacks, I don't know, burpees, whatever it is that you want to do. I'm not going to do all the different things, but just getting it out of your system. Dancing is a really, really beautiful way of getting something out of your body. And when I say dancing, it's more like, I don't want to call it intuitive dancing, but like not a choreography, right? Something that you just put music on it and you just dance to it. And you're going to realize that sometimes your body just knows exactly what to do. And it's almost like you're getting the stuff out. And I have so many beautiful videos of me dancing, actually. I don't post them because it's a little bit more personal, but like I can just feel and I can just see like the energy just getting out of my body in the way that I'm dancing. And it's kind of like a beautiful, beautiful story for that, the minute or two that I'm dancing. So dancing is a really, really beautiful way. Art, any type of art. So, you know, singing is a beautiful, like, I say that because I'm a singer, so I'm extremely biased, but singing is a beautiful way of getting something out of your body, finding a song that is exactly what you want to say, or write your own song. You can write your own songs as well. And just sing that with the energy with it. It's like almost you sing it and you're like, wow, I just feel like I could be on top of the world, right? Having a karaoke session before something that might be a little bit difficult for you to talk about or for you to do. And then it just is such a beautiful thing that you can do. And so if you are a singer, I definitely fully recommend to view singing as, yes, a thing that you can do, a skill that you have, but also a beautiful way to release stuck energies through specific songs that make sense to you and that really speak to you and your soul. So singing is a way. Art, you know, you can like buy watercolor, like whatever type of paint or coloring, like coloring pens or whatever it is, and just like allow yourself to free flow and to just write whatever you need to write on a page. Draw with the colors, and you're going to realize that it's really allowing you, it's allowing you to bring something that's stuck within yourself and bring it outside of your system, bringing it out into the 3D world. So if you have something stuck and you're dancing it out, you're allowing it to become a 3D thing by you dancing it out. When you're singing, you're allowing a beautiful, heartfelt, soul-felt note that is allowing you, that people can hear. But while the moment it's out and you're singing it, it's like it's coming from that place that you're releasing the energy from, right? The energy comes back to life and is allowed to come out. You can't, if you sing in a more heartfelt way with a lot of emotions, you can't sing the same song twice the same way, because you're going to have a different baseline when you sing it, right? The energy is going to be in a slightly different place in your body. And so it's going to have to come from a slightly different place to become this beautiful song. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to witness. And I think like Ray, like the artist that did Ice Cream Man and Prada and Black Mascara, she's a really beautiful example of that if you hear her live, she never sings the same song twice. It's always, even if it's the same song, it doesn't ever sound the same way. And it feels it's because she's coming on stage with a completely different energy, a completely different story. And so the story that comes out is different. it needs to be different. And that's a beautiful example of what I'm trying to say. When you're doing art, again, you're putting your feelings into a 3D format on paper with colors. You can also do journaling or writing if you're a writer, and trying to explain and transcribe what it is that you're feeling in words, and maybe paint a metaphor or something. And it becomes this beautiful thing, this beautiful piece of art that not only is a piece of art in itself, but also is like an incredibly beautiful way to release stored emotions and to release this anxious moment. So it's kind of like a double kill two birds with one stone kind of situation. So obviously you can get it out with art, as I said, you can get it out with exercise. And another way as well is if you realize that the anxious moment that you have is related to somebody else. You know, maybe some guy hasn't responded to you, or some guy is giving you mixed signals, or some girl is just randomly has become cold with you and gives you the cold shoulder and doesn't like talk to you anymore. If you feel comfortable to do so and that relationship is in a place where you can just go up to them and talk to them, that's a really beautiful way to do it. And being like, right, I personally have stressed energy around you right now. Can I talk to, like, obviously you don't have to say it that way, but you can be like, hey, like, is it okay if we talk? Is it okay if we have a conversation? I'm feeling a little bit off about this relationship right now. Can we maybe talk about it and discuss what's happening? Because I'm feeling slightly interesting right now. And sometimes just having that conversation and verbalizing what it is that you feel towards them will allow you to actually immediately dislodge this sort of anxious feeling, because you've made it 3D, you've put it out in the real world, and on top of that, it's a double thing. You've allowed it to talk. You've talked about this with the person that is concerned, the person that has caused you, or the quote unquote caused you the anxiety, is the person that you then go to talk about it. And that's a beautiful moment. It allows you to probably feel a lot more at ease, a lot more free and peaceful, and feeling a lot better. But another way is sometimes just calling a friend and being like, hey, like, I'm feeling really, really anxious and really stressed about this thing, and can I talk to you about it? I feel like I need to make sense of it. Because sometimes if you just think about it in your head, you go insane, you go crazy. Like, it just goes round and round, and the wheels on the bus go round. Oh my God, Orlane. Anyways, my personality is coming through a little bit too hard right now. But the thoughts were going round and round and round and round in your head, and and you're not able to make sense of it. Whereas when you talk about it with someone that will then maybe ask you a question or let you speak for a long time, maybe interrupt you, you realize actually, again, it's the same way of when you're venting to someone and then you figure out, oh, actually I'm now venting about this one thing and this is actually probably what is causing me the stress. It's the same thing if you vent to a friend and trying to get the energy out, trying to talk it out, you're going to realize, okay, you're going to start to find the right words, and you might repeat the same story a few times, but at one point you're going to find the right words and be like, this, I found the right words and now it's out of my system and I feel so much better. And maybe I'm going to add like a slight, just an added bonus section here is, how do you know that you're feeling less anxious now? This question just came to me and I was like, oh, probably needs to talk about that as well. Again, I think that it's probably different for everyone. But I think that you're going to realize at one point you just feel lighter. If you're somebody that's heart-led, whenever I'm very, very stressed and my heart feels super constricted, it feels like almost as if like a small giant was sat on my heart and it was just so difficult to take a full inspiration, like it's almost as if like it's like a chronic dull feeling of constricted feeling in my heart. And I can go about my day and feel normal, but there's always this like slight constricted feeling there. And the moment that I find the right way to exteriorize and to talk about it and to release that energy and bring this energy out of my body and into the world, into the 3D world, it's literally feels like the constriction just leaves. It dissolves in one go, right? It just, oh, bye. And it's a beautiful moment. So I think it's just as simple as that. When you feel better, you immediately are like, oh, like I feel lighter. I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, off of my heart, off of my gut, whatever it is. Other ways I think that I found, just kind of backtracking a little bit to feeling slightly better. I talk about these quite often, but you know, once you figured out where the anxious moments is coming from, where the stress is coming from, it's really good as well to just maybe do some tapping about it. I talk about it a lot. Tap with Brad Yates. He does EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. You just tap on different points of your face and your body while he's saying a script to you, and it's meant to connect to your amygdala, which is a really primitive part of your brain, and help you release certain things and feel better. And every single time I tap, I feel, it might not be instant that my heart fully feels like, oh, relax, but I can already feel like, right, the constriction is leaving slightly. But that only works when I know exactly where the constriction is coming from and I can watch the appropriate video. If I'm going to feel, I don't know, constricted because I feel like I have an inability to surrender, let's say, and I watch a video about fear, it's not going to work as well, right? If I watch a video that's not exactly appropriate to what it is that I'm feeling that day. So that's why the point of understanding where things are coming from is super, super important. The other thing that is also quite good that I do quite often is self-hypnosis or hypnosis. You can watch, if you're doing hypnosis work, you can watch Marissa Peer's videos. She's a licensed hypnotherapist, I think, and she has a YouTube channel. I'll leave all of the links in the description so you can do that. And then she also has a video about teaching you how to do self-hypnosis on yourself. If you feel called to do that, if you feel comfortable with doing that, that is definitely something you can do and a technique that you can use. Both EFT tapping and self-hypnosis, I think I've talked about in another video that I'll link in the eye here and in the description down below. But also there are two techniques. I'm giving you so many tips today, but there are two different techniques that I also use when I have trouble falling asleep. Because a lot of the times when I have trouble falling asleep is because I'm stressed about something. And then if I do a self-hypnosis around just stress, I'm like, I don't have time to figure out where this is coming from. Just being like, just trying to get to a more calm state so I can fall asleep. EFT tapping and self-hypnosis are beautiful techniques to do that. So yeah, I think I've talked about everything that I wanted to talk about today. I loved having a bit more of a heartfelt conversation, allowing myself to flow. I think all the points were said, all the points were touched on. And if you did enjoy this, please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video, share this video with other people that could benefit from it as well. As I say constantly, I am trying to build a community here. And I can only do so much by myself, meaning that I show up every single Sunday, I post a video every single Sunday, post a podcast every single Sunday. But if you're watching this, listening to this, and you're like, right, I know that somebody in my life could really benefit from this, please do share it to them. Please send them the link for the podcast, a link to the channel, and that would really, really be helpful to me. And I'd be so super, super grateful to you for doing that. It allows our community to grow and allows me to touch more people and help more people and continue on with my purpose of helping you guys all heal and grow more joy, more purpose in your life. And if you're listening to the podcast and you have not seen my crazy hand movements this whole time, honestly, I think it's probably a good thing. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I really, really do hope that you enjoyed it. And please subscribe to the podcast, rate the podcast, leave a review if you feel called to do so. And I will see you guys all next week. Please leave a comment, send me a DM about what you've learned from this, what you've enjoyed from this. If there's any point in time where you're like, oh, like I've really learned something and you've really changed my outlook on life at a certain point, please do let me know. It always warms my heart and makes my days a lot brighter, because this is why I do these things. It's to really actively help you guys. So with all of that said, I'm going to head off. I love you guys. I hope that you're having a beautiful, beautiful day wherever you are and whenever you are listening to this. And if you're not, it's okay. It really is okay. Life ebbs and flows. But I hope that you can find a way to finish your day in a slightly better way than it did start. So yeah, I love y'all. Bye.